Good morning and welcome to another Wednesday morning live with the Redlands Coast Chamber of Commerce. Now, this morning we've got a very special guest for you, and I know that so many of you out there have been looking forward to hearing from our guest today. But first, I've just got to run through some housekeeping. Traditional welcome. First up, we acknowledge the traditional custodians of our lands, waters and seas, of which we are virtually meeting, the Quandamooka people. We pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I'm going to bring Beck quickly onto the stream while I go through some of our sponsors. We've got a huge thank you, as always, to Bendigo Bank, our naming rights sponsor for our breakfast series, which has, funnily enough, become our Facebook series. Wildcat Design, Redlands City Bulletin, Redlands City Council, McCarthy Jury Lawyers, Chan and Naylor Accountants, Barcella Restaurants, Think and Grow Business, Personalised Freight Solutions, TAFE Small Business Solutions, Aegis Business Service, and we've got the Australian Industry and Trade College. And for our Redlands Women in Business, we also have the Redlands Centre for Women, Home Instead, Senior Care, Redlands and Logan. We've got Wildcat Designs once again. We've got Print Buzz. We've got Beautiful Illusions, and we've got Precision Loans. Rebecca Young, how are you this wonderful morning?
Good morning. I am wonderful this wonderful morning, coming into a short week off Easter weekend. I hope everybody had a great Easter and back into it for the week.
Absolutely. Very special guest. I'm just going to bring him onto the stream in just a sec, because I know he'd probably feel a bit awkward when I'm reading out his bio. But Craig Harper is one of Australia's leading presenters, writers and educators in the areas of health, high performance, resilience, self-management, leadership, corporate change, communication, stress management, addiction and personal transformation. Just a couple of things. Craig's been an integral part of the Australian health and fitness industry since 1982, and in that time has worked as an exercise scientist, corporate speaker, consultant, university lecturer, AFL conditioning coach, radio host, TV presenter, writer and successful business owner. Craig's a respected author also, and his latest book is called 20 Questions for Humans, which was released last year. And his podcast is one of the You Project is one of the most listened to podcasts in Australia. It's a conversational style podcast featuring great stories, great ideas, strategies and lessons from high performers in sport, business, science, media and health. We are certainly appreciative of Craig's time this morning. A big virtual welcome to the Redlands Coast, Craig Harper.
Hi, mate. Hi, everyone. That was... Bloody hell, imagine if I was terrible after all of that. It'd be embarrassing, wouldn't it?
It certainly would. Beck, I'm going to take you off stream and we'll catch up towards the end. Craig, how has the world changed?
Oh, mate, it's interesting, isn't it? Everybody's, we keep talking about, I've heard this term more in the last 2 weeks than in the last 2 decades, which is we need to pivot. I don't know where that's going. We've got to pivot in business and pivot in finance, and everyone's talking about that, so it's very interesting. But it's indeed, what I think is really interesting for me as somebody who's fascinated with human behavior and human performance is the way that we self-manage in the middle of all of this. Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff out of our control. A lot of what is going on around us, if not nearly all of what's going on around us, is out of our control. It influences us and impacts us, but, we can't change it. And my business is the same. I had $700,000 or so worth of work fall over this year, and you can jump up and down and have a sook, but it is what it is. So what matters is what I do now. What matters is how we move forward, what decisions we make, how we respond, and how resilient we can be. And as uncomfortable and as uncertain as unfamiliar as it all is, it's here. And want it or not like it or not, we're in the middle of it. So for me, there's all the practical stuff, of course, of trying to look after people who are vulnerable, protect them, look after kids, look after the elderly. I may be one of the elderly. I'm not sure. And to do all that practical stuff. But I think, the real challenge is how am I managing my mind and my emotions and my behavior and my physical health and my choices and my words and actions and reactions in the middle of all of it. So it's as tough as it is, it's been an interesting observation for me, because I've obviously been inundated with phone calls and conversations and requests and questions in the last month or so. But yeah, I think it gives us, in the middle of the bad, it gives us, there are good things. In the middle of the bad, it gives us a level of perspective that we often don't have, or maybe never have.
Yeah, and it's interesting because sometimes a crisis, or the crisis, changes just about everything that we've got going on in our life. The old rule book gets thrown out. We're making strategy decisions on the run. And as you said, we've always got this list of stuff that we want to get to. And potentially this is where that self-management piece, that reliance back on ourselves, that control aspect can really help us come through this. So you mentioned you've been inundated with phone calls. So what are some of the observations that you're seeing within that, and what strategies are you suggesting to help people get that internal focus to get them to move forward?
Well, I think it's really, for a lot of people that I've been speaking with, I literally say, so every day, just get up, create a plan for the day. Control your controllables. I know that's a very cliche thing to say these days, but I've been saying that for 30 years. But identify the stuff that's in your control.
Yeah.
And the stuff that needs your attention and your focus and your energy, and invest it there. The stuff that's out of your control, we're not pretending that we're not in the middle of a pandemic. We're not pretending that things aren't hard. We're not pretending. We're well aware of what's going on, but what matters is what I pay attention to. If all day I'm sitting looking at the television and the statistics and the graphs and the drama and the visuals, and then that's where I am. But I can't change any of that. So for me, I'm really about getting people to pay attention to the now. Where am I? What can I do now? What are the best things that I need to do today? What are my values? What are my values? What are my priorities? What are my goals? What are my needs? What are my family's needs? And what am I doing what am I doing about all of those things? And I think, we are very, until this, most of us, and I'm generalizing, but most Aussies live a pretty comfortable, pretty familiar, pretty predictable, pretty manageable life. Not all, but most. And now we find ourselves in the middle of unfamiliarity, uncertainty, and discomfort, all things we don't really thrive on, or we don't like anyway. But what's interesting is discomfort is actually where we grow. You think about, so my background is exercise science. I owned gyms and employed 500 trainers, and that was where I grew up. And you think about, the analogy is, if you go to the gym and you never work against resistance, you kind of go through the motions, which a lot of people do, by the way. But a lot of people go and do the same thing, the same way, the same everything, and they produce the same result. But when we go into the gym, in fact, there's this idea in exercise science called progressive overload. And the principle is, I go into this situation, I work against the resistance of the weight, I work against the resistance in lots of different ways, and I become physically stronger. Literally, I build muscle, I build strength. And so too, this is analogous to what we're going through right now, which is we are working mentally and emotionally against resistance. And one of the things I ask audiences often is, who would like to be more resilient, more adaptable, more capable, less stressed? And every hand goes up, and you go, well, how do you build resilience? The same as you do in a gym, you work against resistance, except now we're working against mental and emotional resistance. And what we're trying to do, and everybody's scared on the scale between 1 and 10. There's stuff I'm scared of. I'm scared for my mum and dad. They're 80. I love them. I want them to be healthy. I'm scared for some of my friends. But even in the middle of the fear, we still get to go, okay, but then there's me, and then there's my choices and responses. So I think it's okay to be really honest and really raw and really authentic and go, well, I don't like this at all. This kind of sucks. This is inconvenient. This is uncomfortable. This is uncertain. But nonetheless, it is where I am. So everything is really about, how do I manage my mind and my emotions to manage my choices and behaviors and outcomes?
Yeah. Your latest podcast with your good mate, Jeff Jowett, Jeff talked about things being exposed in the in a crisis like this, I also tend to think that they're exaggerated. So if we're not doing in those good times, and Jeff once again spoke about this, if we're tight for money in the good times, we're not going to be great in the bad times.
Yeah.
So the crisis tends to exaggerate all of those areas in our life that we haven't really looked after, that we haven't broached into that discomfort and grown and created that safety net.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, that was actually a good chat with Jeff last night. I think one of the other things that a situation like this gives us is it gives us a level of awareness and perspective that most of us don't have when we're not in a pandemic. It's like the great leveler, the great perspective giver is a pandemic. My goodness, it's like all of a sudden we go, okay, so the stuff that I used to complain about, not really a problem at all. Yeah. I used to think that was a 9 out of 10 catastrophe. That's a 1 out of 10 minor issue. Now I'm actually in a catastrophe. I go, oh, so this is a real problem. You know, and so I think, and that's not about, self-loathing or anything. It's just about self-awareness. And I think also, like we all want to build a business and brand and succeed in our career or our organization or whatever it is that we're doing. But it's also, so much in our culture, success is about stuff. Success is about business and brand and bottom line, and all of those things matter. But let's not confuse that success with the internal journey. I've worked with lots of people who've got amazing business and brand, and in the middle of their amazing business and brand and from the outside looking in, this shiny existence, they're mentally and emotionally broken. Yeah. So is that if you're having a breakdown tomorrow and you're taking Xanax and, you're taking antidepressants and anti-anxiotics and you're not sleeping and you're an overthinker and you're stressed, but you're making heaps of dough, is that success? So for me, it's about trying to manage the external practical requirements of my job, my business, my situation, but also manage me in the middle of it so that in the middle of the success, I'm a content, for the most part, happy and calm individual.
Yeah, so more internal, that ability to be able to reflect back, that's really important, especially in times like this. Now, you mentioned your personal training background. How is it not being able to go to the gym every day for someone like yourself?
Well, I'm a complete maniac and I'm a self-confessed obsessive compulsive with exercise. So it's been a steep learning curve. So, I was, I was a fat kid. I was morbidly obese when I was the fattest kid in my school. My name at school was Jumbo. People didn't call me Craig. So I started training like a maniac at 14 and haven't really stopped, and that was 42 years ago. So, yeah, look, it's been interesting. So I've had to figure out how to train at home. I mean, obviously, I'm an exercise scientist, so I have a clue how to train. But it's been an interesting exercise in self-awareness and self-reflection. And so, but like anything, you improvise, adapt, and overcome. You go, all right, well, I can't access that. But I've still got, it's still about movement and working against resistance. What can I do where I am? So no matter what we're doing, whether it's with our body or business or brand or finances, we're still problem solving. It's all about how well can I solve problems? How creative can I be?
Yeah. And with the fitness industry, it's an industry at the moment that's both hurting but innovating in a really strong way. And what are some of the innovations that you're hearing about, and what are some of the potential tips that you could provide to our community of not just fitness but personal service providers? Yeah. What are your thoughts there?
Well, I think, one of the things people love about the gym is that it's a social outing for them. It's a way to connect, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens post this. I think there'll be a lot of gyms that aren't here anymore. But in terms of, I don't have a whole lot of advice other than what we're all doing, which is adapting online. I mean, I generally run in Melbourne. I do all my kind of corporate stuff, which is my bread and butter. And then I do a national tour every year where I go to every capital and some rural places. But I kind of consistently in Melbourne do because I don't do any one-on-one anymore. So I do mentoring groups of about 30 people. I have a lecture theatre. But what I've done is I said to Melissa, who runs my life, let's do, in fact, I'm going to be honest, she said to me, because she's 30. It's like I came up with the idea. See how I did that? She said to me, let's run it online.
Yeah.
And I went, yeah, okay, how does that? And so, 3 weeks ago, I was a complete novice at all of this, really, because everything I did was face-to-face. And we launched our online mentoring program on Monday night, and we've got over 250 people in the room, and from 10 or 11 countries around the world. And you go, oh, okay, so this is a thing. And I'm still a bit clunky and clumsy with the tech, and I'm still trying to figure out how to be in my office here and try to be passionate towards a computer screen, which is a new phenomena, because I feed off humans and faces and energy and bodies and, but you adapt. Like, this is what you do. And I mean, I think how we get good at stuff is by first being bad at it. That's it. Like, your starting point is, all right, well, I'm a 1 or a 2 out of 10, but I can't improve by not doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just got a comment here from one of our viewers, Cindy Corrie, well known in our community. You can't pour from an empty cup. Who's checking in with leaders? So little bit of feedback there and a bit of a question, I guess, that for each and every one of us. So
look, the thing is, leaders are humans. Everyone's a human. The bottom line is, everybody needs their everybody needs their, be it spiritual, emotional, social, mental that they go to. And people do need to check in with the leaders. And the leaders, that I always say, I'm a teacher and a student. I am a teacher. I do a lot of teaching and coaching, but I'm also a student. Like right now, I'm literally a student. I'm doing a PhD in neuropsychology. So, people do need to be checking in with the leaders. People do need to be supporting them, but it's and that's true for everybody across the board. So I think for somebody like myself, and I'm very independent. I've lived by myself for 30 years, not married, don't have kids. And so I'm a little bit of a weirdo in that I'm a little bit Robinson Crusoe, but I have a very small group of 3 or 4 people that I 100% trust, and they check in with me and I check in with them. So I think it's really important that, as Cindy said, that we build our own little team and our own support group that, we can comfortably connect with and bounce off whenever.
Absolutely. Craig, we've just about run out of your valuable time. We really do appreciate it. I'm going to bring back onto the screen. But one last question. When all this is over, what do you think we should be looking back on with some level of pride? Or what would you think has changed from a positive sense within Australia, within ourselves?
Excuse me, the thing that I love about, it sounds a bit cliche this, but we saw it through the bushfires and we saw it through, we're seeing it now. You see the best and the worst. And like, even when we saw people punching each other in the face over bog rolls, which was kind of hilarious. And like, I'm like, what is going on? Come on, world. We're like, a minute ago, we were saving people and, anyway, but that's okay. But even that, as silly and as unpleasant as that stuff was, it comes out of fear. And it doesn't make it right, but it's understanding where it comes from. And I think we're going to take out of this, hopefully, that we are really resilient, that, here's the thing about a pandemic. It's not like anyone's got a 3-step blueprint. It's not like Scott Morrison or anyone down can go, hey, remember what we did last pandemic? Because there wasn't one, not in our time. And so I think everybody needs to take a breath and stop pointing fingers and stop yelling and screaming and go, okay, everyone, they may not be doing the best thing, but I think most people are trying to do the best thing in the middle of an incredibly unknown and uncertain space. But I think what we can take away from this is we as a group, Australians, are very resilient. If you look globally at what's happening with numbers, I don't like doing that, but it is a metric. We're going amazingly well. And I think when we have to, we can be very creative and very solution focused and very adaptable. And I think this will teach all of us a lot about ourselves.
Absolutely. Beck, what was your one big, huge takeaway from this morning with Craig?
Sorry, guys.
Whoop.
I was having some tech difficulties here.
I've got you back now. You can't hear?
You got me back now?
Yeah.
I couldn't hear Craig. I could hear you. So I had to take you off, and I've got a delay on my actual stream here. Sorry. Let's talk about being bad at something for the first time and trying it. This Facebook Live for us, Craig, is just a whole new world, and we think we're going to get better at it, and I'm sure we will. But
can you hear me now, Beck?
At the moment, it's sort of all test and measure for us. And
No.
I really liked the messages of resilience and being uncomfortable, because when we're uncomfortable, you know, great things do happen. And certainly that feeling is in the chamber at the moment in regards to trying all these new things and managing that from our houses with kids and dogs and the rest of it going on, and slamming doors and not enough light and delays in the stream. So yeah, no, there's a lot of good messages there around building resilience and self-awareness.
Yeah,
you know what? We're all a bit unsure, and we're all in the middle of the messiness. And I said to my mentoring group that started the other night with like heaps of people, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, so just bear with me. And they're okay. Everyone's like, it's okay. It doesn't matter that it's a bit clunky, and it doesn't matter we drop in, or like, this is all of us trying to figure out how to meet people's needs and deliver a service. And we need to not be too hard on ourselves, and not everything needs to be super polished and professional and seamless. We get it. It's okay. You know, so a few bumps and clunks, it's all right. It's all right. But thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to chat with you guys today.
Oh, it's been our pleasure, and we're very grateful. Craig, how can people connect with you?
I guess they can follow me. Well, they can come over to my house actually, because I'm pretty lonely. So I'm in Hampton. No. All right. So at Whiteboard Lessons on Insta, at Whiteboard Lessons, one word. And I guess follow me on Facebook. And if you want to look at all of my stuff, just craigharper.net. There's lots of things on there to look at, craigharper.net.
Excellent. And when this is all over, we look forward to seeing you at one of your public events that you hold up here in Queensland. So.
No pressure. I expect you all to come. No pressure.
No worries. Thanks, Craig.
See you guys.
Thanks,
Take care.
Craig.
Thank you. Bye, Beck.
All right. Beck, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I couldn't hear Craig, which I got a bit of it when I was off screen, but that's all right. I'll watch it back later.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was very much around that self-management space and human performance, and Craig being uniquely Craig. So if you missed his contact details, craigharper.net, but his Instagram's pretty cool. And the podcast, the U Project, is, as I said, one of the most listened to ones in Australia. So very unique, and he didn't drop an F-bomb, which is probably... So, Beck,
very good.
The floor is yours. What's the update from the chamber?
So at the moment, Tony, we have a mayor, we have council, so we can start working with the Economic Development Office in getting some real stimulus delivered to our business community. And the way that we intend on presenting some figures to them is through our online survey. So if anyone watching this morning hasn't completed the survey, please go on and have your say. There is some in-depth questions there in regards to turnover. And I know that's really off-putting at the moment for people, because, I mean, it's, as Craig just talked about, these situations can be quite overwhelming, and to have to start to think about what our turnover is going to be like in, you know, a month's time can be off-putting. But we please ask you to go on there and have your say, because with that data, we can do something with it, and we can get people the help that they need. So that's my big message this morning. I really would love by Thursday this week to have, you know, be hitting that 300 mark that we hit with the first survey.
Excellent. Yeah. And maybe next week we could look at getting Karen to have a bit of a chat with the group. So that would be awesome.
Absolutely. And I think that we need to give our leaders something to speak to. They, yes, you know, they have paid staff within council to tell them where everyone's at, but they rely on organisations like the Chamber of Commerce to collect some of that data on their behalf. And we really are very, very serious about wanting to get businesses help.
Excellent. I'm going to bring someone to the stream that has been not seen by the community for a while. She's one of those landmarks, foundational aspects of just about every event we run. So I just thought it'd be really nice to get Naomi Cooley onto our Facebook live stream this morning and get her to say hello and give us a bit of an update on what she's been up to, because she's been busy.
Yeah, it has been a different year this year, hasn't it? So whereas normally I'd be meeting everyone at breakfasts and informal networking and things, that's all gone out the door, but hopefully not for too long. In the meantime, we've been setting up an office, which is really exciting. We've got a meeting room that we've been fitting out with conferencing equipment, so you can come in and have your video conference there or your training there, and there'll be some more hot desks and space there as well for people to come in and use on a casual basis. So we're really keen for everything to kickstart again and for people to come in and see our new office and use those facilities to, to make their business dreams come true. And what a great opportunity this is for us all to sit back and think about those ideas that we've maybe had for a while that we put on the back burner because life was going on. But now, now that everything else is on the back burner, why don't we bring them forward and do some research and do something fresh and new when we can all get started again. How awesome is that?
Yeah.
Events-wise, we've had to, get innovative like everyone else and go online. And we've got our first Redland Women in Business event coming up next Friday night. We're calling it the Informal Networking. And we're encouraging you, because we're all just kind of, hanging out at home and maybe wearing T-shirts and jeans and shorts and things to, get the nice clothes out again and make us spruce yourself up a bit, because we'll be meeting on Zoom. So we'll be seeing each other. It's BYO drink, obviously, because we can't all have a drink in the bar. And we're asking you to share with us your favourite drink and why it's your favourite, and there'll be a prize for the best story. So we're trying to make it, kind of fun and interesting, but still networking with each other and just keeping those relationships that we've all worked so hard to build, active and alive.
Yeah.
The other big thing that we've been working on with Chamber is obviously the Regional Jobs Committee, which I know that Rebecca's talked on before. When we initially kicked it off this year, we were thinking medium to long term. So we were going to look at how, we can bridge the gaps in jobs growth here in Redlands in the medium to long term. But obviously, since the beginning of the year, much has changed. So we went back to state government and we said, look, in light of the recent events, can we change our focus for our group and look at how we can come out of this ready to roar, so when the gates are open, we're primed and ready to go. So our focus will be very short term. So looking forward to see what the committee can come up with for that. So to help strengthen our business community. So when we're ready to roll, we're ready.
Yeah. And probably more needed than ever at this point in time. So the Regional Jobs Committee was always a fantastic vehicle to help the Redlands, but needed more than ever now. And just the other thing I want to pick up on is that when I speak with people in relation to the Redlands Coast Business Show podcast, we quite often the conversation will get around to that shared working space, that community business hub. And while it may not necessarily be the space at the moment that we're allowed to have, but moving forward, I can see that chamber office becoming very much that community feel of being able to pop in and be amongst friends and support. So I think that's a fantastic initiative.
Yeah, definitely. And at the moment, we, with the Zoom capabilities there, as soon as we have that all sorted out, people can go in there and be virtual, just like we're being virtual right now.
I just had to put that comment up from Michelle. No taxis required. So
that's right.
That's the informal ladies Redlands Women in Business event. So no taxis required. Now, Naomi, you've also got the big job today of drawing our lucky live viewer.
Yep.
So
if you registered, like actually bought the free ticket, or if you just indicated on our event on Facebook that you were attending, your name's gone in the draw, and we've got 15 people on the list. So.
All right. So great opportunity to win. So we do encourage people to register for our Facebook Lives. It is free. There is no cost, and but just you get a chance to win a lucky live prize. So, and Naomi's got it on her. Hold your phone up. So yeah, we've got a random generator of all the names there. So completely random draw.
Look
All
at
right.
us adapting. Last week we were like paper and stop here, and now we're going technical.
Yeah. So who?
Cindy
Corrie.
Awesome.
All right. Excellent. So Cindy won a Redlands Coast Chamber bottle of wine.
Yep. Let me know your preference, red or white, and how I can get it.
Excellent. So do we bring this thing to a close? What do you think?
I think so. I think that the value that people got out of Craig this morning, I would encourage people to go back and have a listen to that stuff again, because from the little bit I got to hear, certainly is going to help my mindset.
Excellent. Excellent. Have yourselves a great day, everyone out there in the Redlands Coast business community. Thanks once again, Naomi, Rebecca. A huge thank you to Craig Harper. That was just amazing. I'm just finding it incredible that people are being really generous with their time at this point and just wanting to help. So really grateful. So if you haven't followed Craig Harper, please do. And we will let you know when there's a public event coming up with Craig, because I, for one, am going to go. So, all righty. Have a great day, everyone. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.